From across the comic book community multiverse, the Comic-Con podcast begins now with your hosts, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime.
If you give them the title of influencer, then that's giving them more power, right? That's how it is. Like, I'm a nobody. Listen, I'm a nobody.
Zack, aka the Manimal.
We talked about it for a full, I believe, 7 to 8 minutes on an hour-long normal podcast for a show. And you would have thought we set their house on fire with the backlash. So, welcome back, everybody, to Comic-Con Podcast, Season 3, Episode 6. If you don't know who we are, well, maybe just keep listening. You'll figure it out. But it's us. We're back like always, and we're here to talk comics. Justin, what's going on over there in cold New Jersey?
Ooh, expecto patronum.
That's all I hear from you these days.
I know. Pre-ordered, got that deluxe edition for the good old Hogwarts Legacy, and I'm wizarding and wizards alike in the world of Harry Potter.
I'm pretty offended by this because I'm actually like a Harry Potter fan. Like, I've read the books multiple times. And here you are playing Harry Potter, acting like you're like this big Harry Potter guy. And you're not. You're just a poser, dude. You're just a big-ass poser.
Yeah, I guess let's kind of start there. So
give a guy a wand and he thinks he's a wizard all of a sudden.
I just wave it around and yeah. So for me, like the only two Harry Potter movies I like are Order of the Phoenix, definitely the best one, hands down, because that's the one that they use the most magic in, without a doubt. And obviously they fight, and then I guess the next one would probably be like Goblet of Fire. And the same thing, like it's still in that realm of a lot of magic used. But like the other ones, like the first two, he's still too young. Mm-hmm. Third one's cool with Sirius Black. Like you finally get to see like something like, it's
like more story.
Yeah.
The first two are almost can almost conceivably be standalone. It seems like the third one's when like the story starts to kind of flesh out more.
Yeah, it's very branching out.
Book-wise.
Yeah. Well. And then I hate the last two. I think they're so boring. Like so
Crazy
boring.
And you've never considered reading the books?
No, why would I? I've seen the movies.
Because they're way better.
Yeah, but I'm not like I don't know.
I don't know, man. You're missing out. The writing is phenomenal. So
I'm sure Miss J.R.
J.K. God
JK.
Damn it! Look at you, dude.
I was gonna say Tolkien. I was gonna go Lord of the Rings.
J.R.R. Tolkien, Esquire. So here we are in the community section, like always. If you're new to the channel or to the podcast, we always try to talk about some community stuff. Sometimes we have some good juicy tea, some drama, but this time we just got a little bit of some rants. Justin's got a rant he's going to go on here, and then we're going to talk about some eBay stuff. So, Justin, why don't you warm us up with what's perturbing you right now?
Well, it's not really a perturb, but I was on this guy's Whatnot show. His name is...
That sentence almost got weird. I was on this guy's ... No, I was on this guy's Whatnot show just earlier, and his name is Curtis Comic Enterprises. And, I know that, it's terrible, right? Horrible man, horrible seller, or whatever. But, he says, he always supports us. He always shouts out the Comic-Con podcast. And, he says he wants more of, Comic Enterprises on the Comic-Con podcast. I said, well, what do you want? Tell us. I said, what do you want before I leave? Because I'm leaving to go record this episode. Yeah. And he says, tell the people about Comic Enterprises. Tell the people about little giant comics as well. So, of course, first and foremost, if you don't know, Comic Enterprises, you can find him on Instagram. You can also find him on Whatnot. He does all different types of shows, from comic books to Pokemon to MetaZoo to NFTs to whatever you want. So go ahead and follow him. He's a reliable seller. He's been selling for over, God, it's got to be like 2 years now, I guess, on that platform, even before like I was and you were in 2021. Yeah. Good friend of the podcast also as well.
Yeah.
And
great guy.
We have something coming up with him in the future, possibly. Yeah.
Yes, we do. But again, make sure you follow him. Stop what you're doing. Go ahead, click on your Instagram, click on your Whatnots, and go ahead and follow Comic Enterprises. That's the first thing. And the second thing, again, it's a community show, of course. So upcoming, this is one of those East Coast, Northeast type of shows. So on April 15th, of course, if you don't know, Little Giants Comic Shop, they put on their annual show, the Little Giants Comics Old School Comic Show. It's literally just comics. It's on April 15th over at the Everett Arena in Concord, New Hampshire. I probably will be going. Not setting up, but I'm probably going to be going there. It's really awesome. It's literally a 20,000 square feet arena, and it's nothing but comics and art collectibles. There's literally like the owner of the shop and also the guy who puts it on. Like he basically has, when people contact him and they're like, "Hey, I'm like a Lego seller. Can you allow me?" He's like, "No." Straight up, no. It's comic books. It's not like, can I have a whole wall of Funko Pops?
Right.
No. This is a comic book show. So I know a lot of people here on the East Coast, New Yorkers, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, all those guys, they all go to this show. It's a really awesome show. It's your down to earth, one day big show. You can get tickets now. You can check out the vendors. You can check even out the artists. There's actually a decent amount of artists that are going to be there so far that are constantly, you got Al Milgram's going to be there, Bob Ammon, Keith Williams, as well as a ton of other artists, just to name a few. And then, you have tons of vendors. So, everyone from, I don't know, let's say our buddy Comic Dunes, he's going to be there. I don't know, maybe like Absolute Comics. You got like CBCS is going to be there. Comic Link is going to be there. Dave and Adams, Heritage Auctions. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people.
Enterprise is going to be there as well.
Comic Enterprises is going to be there as well. And then, of course, Reese's.
They'll let anybody in these days, apparently.
They do, man. What happens? You become an influencer and they just let you
it's massive influence.
Roll through the door. So
that's cool.
But yeah. So again, follow our buddy Comic Enterprises and also make sure you check out Little Giant. You can follow them on Instagram and also on Whatnot because they're live right now as we are recording this on Thursday night at about 7:30. So
yeah. So we're going to get into some eBay talk. Obviously eBay, the king, the ultimate, the crown, the alpha of the selling platforms for collectibles and comics and whatnot. No pun intended. But yes, eBay. Such a great place. So many problems. But Justin and I are going to talk about some eBay problems. So if you don't know, we've talked about it before. Justin and I both sell on eBay. I'm always listing stuff on eBay, always moving product on eBay. Justin dipped in and out of eBay, back to eBay lately. And man, it's when you leave eBay and you come back, it's like you come back to that neighborhood that you used to live in and you kind of forgot how banged up the houses were on the streets a little bit.
Yeah.
The person didn't mow their yard and like, oh, here's some characters back on eBay. So what'd you have recently?
Yeah, man. So and I definitely want people to know like what you've been doing, of course, for the new listeners and stuff like that, how you sell. So, I kind of took, this year, obviously, I just felt like my Whatnot sales was kind of diminishing at the end of last year. And I don't know why. Am I not getting the push notifications? I'm seeing the bookmarks. It's just, I don't get a lot of people like I was getting early in like 2022. So I don't know what's going on, and people are still buying, there's still people buying. So it's just odd. So, I decided to start, this year fresh and really start listing stuff on eBay. So, I went heavy I went to my parents. I went and like literally went through all these toys. I started listing toys. I started listing slabs at like auctions. If they didn't sell, I do buy it nows. And then comic lots, which you can get.
Offers,
and the comic lots, which you can get into. But of course, I forget what a difference it is selling on Whatnot when you're literally selling something in about a minute compared to when you have to throw up like a 7-day auction or a buy it now. And you get all those people that bother you about the stupidest things and then want the most insane things regarding your items. So, for instance, I'm currently selling, I'm going to go through like 5 things. And I'm sure anybody out there who sells on eBay has gotten these messages before. So recently I had this guy, I'm selling the Star Wars Dark Horse run. It's 1/45. It's the original run from Dark Horse. And I have it listed at a buy it now at $200 or best offer. So let's just look at that for, mathematically. If you took 45 issues times, let's call it like even $3, the minimum at $3, you're at least about $125, right? That's minimum. In that run, there's 3 big keys that well, first of all, there's 3 big keys. There's 3 decent sized keys. One key is at least like $75. So the guy goes, oh, he's like, would you take 100? And I go, no. And then he says, would you do 125? I go, that's not even $3 a book. Like, I'm still like looking at this. I'm like, there's books that are already there that are well worth it. You know, you have the first a shot Fett, Quinlan Voss, and Ayla Secura are all big books. Yadle's in there as well. And I'm just like, no. I'm just like, I can't. Like $200, you know, best offer me something close. Whatever. That's just like one thing. Another thing, which I think is absolutely hilarious, is I sold the complete set of Manifest Destiny. It just ended in 49 issues or 50 issues. Randomly, and let me tell you, people, I started this off stupid cheap, like 50 issues. I started at like $49.99, basically $1 an issue. There's probably some variants in there. So right off the bat, even $4 a piece, that's like $200 cost, right? So just buying retail was $200, and I'm trying to just unload it for $1 a piece. Some guy messaged me. He goes, "Hey, would you break up the set? I need issue 40."
Totally.
Right? Like, let's have this conversation. Zach, what would your response be to this?
I mean, I don't know. It's tough for me. Sometimes I probably like, I'm just not responding to this guy, but then I just love trolling people sometimes as well.
Yes.
So I might have been like, yeah, dude, totally. I'll totally do that. Send me an offer real quick. And then I would deny his offer when it came through. Probably. That's probably what I would do. But I mean, yeah, that's absurd.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because that's exactly what I did. I said, I will sell you the lot for $80, which is now like still less than $2 a book, and you can have issue 40. And he goes, laugh out loud. He's like, you really made me laugh. I go, well, you really made me laugh out loud when I read your message. Like, you really think I'm going to break up an entire set for you and then try to sell that entire set minus this one issue to somebody? Like, why don't you just buy the entire lot and then you resell it and try to get some money back? Right?
Yeah.
Simple stuff.
It's crazy.
Luckily, I ended up selling it to somebody else, which was fine. But then here is the best thing about selling this Manifest Destiny. This guy gets it. He goes, "Hey, man," he's like, "I'm missing 5 issues, 19 through 23. And I'm like, that's odd. I'm like, because I have all my stuff in a section. There's no way. And it's funny, like 19 through 23 was it was a complete arc, right? It was a complete story arc. So I'm just thinking, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't want to call this guy a liar, but I'm like, did this guy take these issues out just to complete his set, and he's saying they're not there? Right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's a little odd. So I go, dude, I'm like, sorry. I'm like, that's impossible. I counted them out before I put them in the box. I was like, I definitely don't have them. I was like, please double check. He's like, I've double checked multiple times. I'm like, they're in the picture. I was like, unfortunately, I don't accept returns. But of course, you know, eBay is going to be like, well, if you didn't send them, you didn't send them. And I'm like, whatever. So I was like, dude, I can tell you I said 100,000% that the complete set was in the box. It's very odd that 5 issues are missing in a row. And I go, he's like, oh, I bought the set just for issue 40. Different person. And he's like, and the first 4 issues, because they were all first prints. Of course, the number 1 is semi-big book. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, he's like, oh, I have no reason to lie, this and that. They're definitely missing. I can't find them. He's like, if you find them, please send them to me. And I go ripping through short boxes. And you know, you've been to my house. You know where all my comics are. I go ripping through short boxes where I think it could be. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, it was in the A to Z indie stuff. It was under M. So then, literally 5 minutes later, he goes, sorry, I just found them. I'm like, well, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, you made me sweat over 5 issues and they were actually still in the box. And I go, so then I had a conversation with him. I go, why issue 40? I was like, why is the one that everybody wants? He's like, oh, it's a low print run. He's like, a lot of comic shops missed it for whatever reason. He's like, I'm sorry for the confusion. I left you positive feedback. You know what
At least he didn't. It wasn't just like a scam. You know what I mean? At least he kind of responded back like, "Hey, my bad." That's
super.
Cool.
Oh yeah. No, definitely not. Like, and then the worst was then he's like, "Oh, I'll leave you positive feedback." You know what his positive feedback was? Not even a word. It was just a thumbs up emoji. I'm like, this motherfucker.
So I got an eBay story that kind of deals with like positive feedback as like an aspect of it, right? So. I was selling a Ghost Rider #1 variant or whatever. It was like a 1 in 2,000 variant. Some guy best offered. And I wasn't really paying attention on it. So I had it listed for like $75. Would have taken almost anything probably. And I didn't notice at first when he best offered $66.60. So I was like, and then I saw it later and I was like, wait a minute, 666 Ghost Rider book, Am I getting trolled here?
Mm.
And so I was like, well, whatever. We'll see what happens. Maybe he's just being funny and that's what he wanted to do, but he's still going to buy the book. So waited and waited for him to pay. Sent the payment reminders. 4 or 5 days go by, no payment, right? So I'm like, motherfucker, dude. So I go on his site. I look at before I looked at his reviews, I was going to leave him feedback. So I went to click leave feedback on the individual. And here's so absurd how eBay is, dude. So you click leave feedback. There's only one option.
Mm-hmm.
You can only check the box, leave positive feedback.
Yep.
And then you can fill out stuff in the like the narrative portion.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't click that leave positive feedback, you can't leave anything. So now eBay's infected with like this woke mentality that we live in now, where it's like, oh, don't say anything hurtful towards anyone. You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So what's the point of leaving feedback if you can only leave positive feedback, right? So I got frustrated with that. And then I went and looked at his reviews, his feedback. There are at least 20 reviews from the past month that are positive reviews, and has everyone in the comments say, this guy's a piece of shit buyer. He never pays for anything. So he has literally 100% feedback, dude. But you read them and everyone's saying exactly what happened to me. This guy buys, he doesn't pay, he doesn't answer messages, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, dude? Like, I just can't let it lie. So of course I left my own feedback as well and did the positive review, but I called eBay. And I bitched out the eBay customer service guy. And I told him the whole story. And I was like, what's wrong with your platform that you only allow positive? This is stupid. Like, you guys need to ban this buyer. He's clearly in here doing this. Look, in the past month alone, there's 20 plus purchases and 20 plus reviews that your platform allows positive reviews. It's the only way anyone can say anything. How do we target and how do we prevent these people? And then I also went and left like a help comment with eBay, but I had to go through. You couldn't do, for whatever reason, eBay just is annoying in ways. And you can't I had to check all these boxes and make up this problem, which wasn't my problem. But then I wrote a massive narrative in like the portion explaining my situation and talking shit to eBay. So,
Oh my God.
But yeah, dude, eBay's fun, man. It's fun.
It's wild. Like even the people like not paying. Like I love the people that like, especially when it's an auction. Like I've had this multiple times over the past month because I've been selling. Is like I'll do like a 7-day auction. They'll win it at the end and they'll be like, hey, I'm going to pay you in like 4 or 5 days, or hey, it'll end on like a Wednesday. And they'll be like, hey, I'll pay you on Saturday. And I'm just like, well, then why did you bid? Like,
yeah.
And I tell people flat out, because here's another thing for people that are selling on eBay. You need to change the non-payee to 4 days. That's the lowest that it can go. So, and I had this issue with my brother, because, well, not my issue with my brother, but like he started selling on eBay and he's like, I had this guy and he didn't buy anything. He's like, and he won't respond to my messages. Like, yeah, this is what you got to do. You got to change the handling time. Well, not the handling time, but like the non-payee to 4 days, because then what'll happen is they'll get payment reminders. And by the 4th day, you won't get hit with the fees that you sold the item, and it automatically gets relisted. So, because you can't really do anything like,
well, you can still, usually if you cancel the listing as well, they won't charge you the fee.
Well, yes, but it's like if you sold the item and then he doesn't pay, and you're like, he's not going to pay, and you're just like waiting and like there's probably other bidders. I don't want to like put it up as a buy it now or like give someone a second chance opportunity, because then the guy may come back and actually pay. But it's like so annoying.
Yeah.
So annoying.
Well, so that's our eBay rant, the community section. That's what we had to talk about here. So we got another topic here, though, that's actually kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say it's boring. It could be pretty enlightening, and Justin's going to kind of walk us through. It's something you need to know, and obviously it kind of deals with selling online. So, of course, Whatnot, eBay, things like that. If you sell a lot, if you generate a lot of money on there, come tax time, it's important to make sure you get your taxes correct. But
Government's coming after you.
Yeah, the government, old Biden administration, the regime coming after you with all them IRS agents. So, yeah. So, Justin, kind of walk us through. You had a CPA come over and kind of help you out with this, right? Yeah.
So last year, because in 2021, for the 6 months that I was selling on Whatnot, I did insane money. I'm not gonna drop in dollar amounts, but I did well, right? I did very well. I was scared because I was like, do I report this? I was like, are they going to send me something? And there was absolutely nothing.
And then in 2022, I decided to create myself an LLC. So I have a sole proprietorship LLC. So literally the beginning of the year, I have a Excel file and I literally put anytime I go out and make purchases, anytime I buy supplies, to the post office, whatever the case may be. Right.
Right.
So now it's 2023. Obviously, again, I'm not going to tell you what I did last year on Whatnot, but I did very well on Whatnot. I did very well on eBay, surprisingly, and I didn't think I did that well, but I definitely want to get all my ducks in order. I definitely don't want to get screwed. I don't want to have to go to jail. I don't want to have to owe like thousands and thousands of dollars to the government. So, I had to, actually go ahead and get an accountant, because normally it's like very easy. It's two people. It used to always just be me and do my taxes on like TurboTax. And now it's like my wife and I, and it's like very simple. It's two people. We have jobs. Right. You have a house. There's like not much, right? There's not like crypto involved and like all these crazy investments. Like it's just two people. So yeah. And I think this is very informative to a lot of people. So if you did sell a lot on eBay and you did get a 1099, so I did get a 1099 from eBay. I haven't gotten anything from Whatnot yet, and I'm very like skeptical and scared, because it's just like, are they going to send you something? I even checked PayPal. Like PayPal doesn't have any documents for me, so I'm just like,
it's probably in the mail with
my exclusive books.
No, with your exclusive books and with what's his name's Bang Bus money.
Oh, Bueller's.
Yeah, Bueller's Bang Bus money. It's in the mail.
They're going to send me all the Whatnot publishing variants. That's what you get for selling so well. But I just don't know. Like there just wasn't anything. So, again, I created all this stuff for the simple fact that if I was going to get hit with taxes, I wanted it separate from my wife and I. So that's basically exactly what I did. I wrote down everything, for people that need to know. You just basically got to have, and what's great is when the CPA came over, and she saw how I did everything. I don't really have that great of, I went to college, I went for business management. I took like basic accounting and stuff like that. And I'm currently doing accounting, but she was actually very shocked that like how much stuff I recorded,
right? Like
everything. Like I was doing everything down to like the T. I wasn't just putting like, if I bought something for like $48.94, I wasn't putting like 45 or 44. Like it was the exact dollar amount, right? Trips, gas, anytime that I bought anything, like I said, supplies, anything that was specific, like, you and I, we do this. So this is part of, the expense, right? Because I talk about it. I talk constantly about Whatnot here. So yeah, it just basically became, this whole thing of that's really what you need to worry about. Like, where are you going to get hit with taxes? How do you figure that out? So, I gave her all my stuff. There's still some more stuff that I need to provide the CPA with. And, we're going to see what happens. We're going to see how much I owe and, how well I did. So definitely something. But the one thing that she did tell me, and I think this is very interesting, and since it's still early in the year, what I'm going to do is she says definitely itemize everything that you sell. And I think that is very tough in a world like Whatnot, where you're literally banging out like maybe 30 books a show. Like if you're just like selling,
Yeah.
But it is the truth, because you and I sell complete runs on eBay, and sometimes we lose money. So again,
big time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that goes back to my Manifest Destiny. I sold 50 issue complete series, some cover A's. There's definitely some cover B's in there, even maybe some cover C's. And even at $4 a pop, that's over $200 in retail. But if I only sold it for $50, that's a hit on me. So I am literally doing that now, where I'm got to go back through eBay, and everything that I sold in January, I'm going to go back and actually itemize everything, because I want to make sure that this year, that even if it looks like I am making a profit, maybe I'm not really making as much of a profit, because I'm actually losing money.
Right.
So just food for thought, people. If you're thinking about what you're doing, selling, be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Taxes are tricky, man. No one, it's the same meme that comes around, I feel like, every tax season, which is, I'm so glad I learned about all those parallelograms for parallelogram season. And that's the truth about like school and whatnot. You learn all this crap in school that doesn't really matter that much when you get older and you don't learn shit about taxes and you just grow up and it's like, here's my money, U.S. government.
Yeah. So, but I know you didn't do as much on Whatnot.
No.
Like you kind of stopped selling, but I'm sure you sold on eBay. You know, I don't think, you know, we were in the same vein, but it's just like, I remember the one year, this is going back like probably 2016, 2017. I remember I was in like October and or eBay or PayPal hit me up and they were like, oh, we need your social security number. I was like, whoa. I was like, what's this about? They're like, oh, you're close to that threshold of like $20,000 and 200 items. And I was just like, well, fuck it. I was like, I'm just not even going to sell anymore because I don't want to get hit with the tax.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I don't want anything reported. Like, so that's what it was. Like, I just stopped selling like the 2 months of the year on eBay because I was just like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I don't sell. I mean, I'm not selling that much. I mean, I just, like I said, I burn through the books that I'm done, the runs that are done, and I just get rid of them. I'm not.
I thought you were a baller on there, man.
Oh, I'm a baller. I'm busy on there. I'm loading and shipping books off every week. But I mean, like you said, I'm taking losses for the most part. I mean, you look at cover price of a book, $3.99, and that's what I'll list it for, and I'll try to offset a little bit. So, like, let's say it runs $25, like a 5 issues or something runs $25. I'll list on eBay for 30 best offer. And typically someone will offer me 20 and I'll accept that shit. You know, like,
yeah,
I'm not really trying to like make a lot of money. I'm just trying to get rid of stuff and recoup something. So I'm probably recouping like, you know, I average probably, I think in my head, like 66%. If I can get 66% back of what I spent on cover, I'm good with it. Look, I read it. I enjoyed it. Let's get rid of it. I don't need it anymore. So, and then it just goes back into the comic book fund, which then I use on other things, comic book wise. And yeah, that's it, man. It's my strategy.
Yeah, that's definitely, and this is something that Gabe said and other people have said. It's always like you collect what you love because that's what happens is you have so much stuff that's the only way to get rid of it. Either you sell it online or you donate it or you sell it to a comic shop for super peanuts on the dollar.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's like almost like, to be honest, it's, you know, don't buy every book. I say this, and we're a comic book podcast and we always read everything and we do buy a lot of stuff, but that's what it is. It's like, how much stuff can you go out and read and buy and have space for?
I had to stop buying stuff. I had to find other ways. I definitely cut back my titles over the past couple of years where I was just like, I'm not buying all this stuff anymore. I'll read them online or I'll find another way to read them, but I don't have the space or the bandwidth to hold all this stuff anymore. So
you need your own garage of just comic books.
Exactly. And I don't want that. To be honest, it's not even like, you know, if I had the space, that's fine. That'd be cool, but I don't want that, dude. Like,
Your wife doesn't find it sexy?
Nah, dude. I mean, you know, it'd be different if she was reading stuff as well. Like, I look at these guys who, like, you know, do the omnibuses and stuff, and they're really cool. And like, you know, you can't see me here, but I have a bunch of omnibuses behind me, but it's all X-Men because that's stuff I reread. But these guys who go out and buy every omnibus every week, every new one that comes out, I know for a fact they ain't reading that shit. Like, so you just got this library of stuff, and it's always like, oh yeah, in case I want to pick up the Berserker Volume 6 at some point and read it. Like, but you aren't going to do that. Like, you will not do that. And so now you just have all this crap in your house, and you're basically a hoarder. So,
and omnibuses are heavy. So if you ever got to move,
yeah, dude. So. Anyway, so that's our community section. We're going to go ahead and get on out of that. Move into some news. Which one do you want to start with? Which article?
Let's do some stuff that just dropped today. Let's do some indie stuff. So over at Variety.com, Amazon orders animated series adaptations of the comic book Wytches. So this just dropped yesterday on February 8th. Like I said, over on Variety. So if you don't know, Wytches is a comic book that was created by Scott Snyder and Jock. It tells the story of a 17-year-old sailor, Rooks, whose family moves to a remote New England town after a tragic accident, only to discover that a burrow of monsters, ancient creatures that prey on their darkest fears and desires, lurks beneath the town, per the official description of Scott Snyder. So, very interesting series. This was back in 2014, 2015. It only ran 6 issues. It's from Image Comics. It actually was intended to be a film after the first issue. And what's crazy is I remember when this came out in October of 2014, there was an exclusive issue #1 for Midtown Comics and also New York Comic Con. And the New York Comic Con exclusive variant blew up like crazy because There was no other exclusives. Maybe like one. Like I want to call like I want to just say like Third Eye Comics probably did one, but like 2014 was not the year of variants. There was just not many like retailers doing variants back in 2014. So after the first issue, it was originally going to be turned into a film, but it was announced in 2021 that it was going to be shifting to a TV series. Now it's shifting into a animated TV series, which is going to be very interesting. So now are we going to see more cartoonish? Are we going to see more like CGI? Don't know, but what Snyder says is Wytches is possibly his most personal work to him. It's also all about the monsters that dwell beneath the surfaces, and him being involved in this animated series from the start is something that he says he absolutely loves. So, and the same thing with Jock, bringing the animations to life, which is going to be awesome because Jock is an amazing artist.
Yeah,
so
it's great.
If it's going to be something like we've seen on Amazon, similar to Invincible, or maybe on the opposite side, you get that Legend of Vox Machina, who, is very similar to the League of Legends that's on Netflix, but I can't think of what the League of Legends is called on that. What's that one?
I don't watch that.
Oh, such a good series. Damn. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Wytches has been kind of turning and burning through the community for a while in terms of like, it's coming out, it's not coming out. It's been a big spec book that you could honestly, if you tracked probably the highs and lows of that book being sold, it's definitely like a roller coaster over the past couple of years with news coming out that it was going to be optioned, that it did get optioned, that it's not optioned and it's back and blah, blah, blah. But it's cool. I mean, I love Snyder. It kind of makes sense now. Like now I can see why Undiscovered Country and Noctera are possibly like taking so long between issues sometimes. It's because this dude's busy. I wish he'd get back to his other books though, to be honest. Like I enjoy both those titles very much and I want them. So stop doing Wytches, bro.
Yeah. What's funny is like, I think it's probably either, I want to say the end of last year when I was doing like blowouts on like stuff that I couldn't, not the stuff that, stuff that I didn't want anymore. I think I sold the complete run of Wytches 1 to 6 for like peanuts on the dollar and whatnot. And I really think I can't remember if the number 1 was signed or not, but I do have a signed copy from Snyder. I just don't know if I sold the one signed or not. So, but I may be listing obviously that number 1 that I still have because I definitely have a bunch of copies. So,
yeah.
What about you, man? Cool. So we go from indie stuff.
Yeah.
Some other news just dropped as well.
Yeah. So obviously we all know there's a type of character named Spider-Man who's very popular in the comic book community in the world of comic books. And we just dropped some new news that Spider-Man Noir live action series is in the works at Amazon. So, I'm not sure if this should be very surprising because we do know we got information previously that Amazon was already moving forward with a Silk Spider Society from showrunner Angela Kang. So we knew possibly Sony was going to be dropping a lot more Spider-esque, Spider universe type characters on the Amazon platform. So, but whether or not we knew Spider-Man Noir was coming, something a little different. But they kind of talk about it a little bit. The Untitled series will follow an older, grizzled superhero in 1930s New York City. An individual with knowledge of the project says that the show will be set in its own universe, and the main character will not be Peter Parker. So, definitely something different. Last time we saw Spider-Man Noir, we saw him in Into the Spider-Verse, obviously voiced by Nicolas Cage, which was amazing, right? Mm-hmm. Hilarious. Yeah. But it's cool. I mean, this could be pretty neat. I'm not sure. And not that now, I mean, I'm not saying this by saying I think it'd be better animated than live action. I feel like maybe it might be better animated than live action because if you're going to go the noir aspect, it's probably easier to do. But now as I'm saying this out loud, I'm also thinking if you did it like in the vein of like Sin City, that'd be really cool, right? Mm-hmm. With live action with that like kind of animation background noir aspects would be really cool. So they got Oren Uziel will serve as the writer and executive producer on the Spider-Man Noir show. He also developed the show along with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse producers Phil Lord and Christopher Miller and former Sony boss Amy Pascal. So he's been around Spider-Man for a while. He knows what he's doing. He's with other people that are very familiar with Spider-Man, so it should be good. And then you kind of look at his like list of movies that he's worked on, and they're kind of all across the board. A lot of comedies here as well. Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, 22 Jump Street. He was a part of Mortal Kombat, which is kind of interesting. Cloverfield Paradox, John Wick 4, and Borderlands, based on the video game. So definitely a guy who's done a lot of different things. So this could be pretty interesting. What are you? I mean, you're a Spider-Man guy. What are your thoughts? Are you excited for this?
Totally Spider-Man guy. No, it's definitely interesting because I guess from what we know right now is that Spider-Man Noir is not coming back for Across the Spider-Verse, at least part 1. That's not to say that they don't pick him up. You know, he doesn't come back for part 2, knowing that it's going to be a 2-part movie. But yeah, you know, he definitely was a big hit in the first movie. I think he was underrated, and you know, he got some love in that movie. So then that kind of pushed him forward a little bit. We've seen multiple, you know, miniseries with him. Obviously, his original series was like the first appearance. They brought him back in Edge of Spider-Verse, and then after the movie, we got another Spider-Man Noir. He's been on like the Web Warriors team. So yeah, he's definitely got that cool, gritty character, and I think that's one thing that Marvel doesn't do. And if they're going to continue to bring in these like Spider characters, yeah, like throw different versions. You know, we're going to do Silk. Let's, you know, do Spider-Man Noir. Let's bring different characters back that we've already seen, right? And we already know. It's not some Spider character that nobody knows about. He was in the movie. A lot of people saw the movie, so it's perfect.
Yeah, you know, I think the interesting aspect here is that it won't be connected to any kind of a Spider Universe type thing. And then the article also kind of goes on and says that they don't know. There's been no saying if any other characters will jump in. So this could be very much like a standalone thing, which I'm not sure fans are a fan of anymore these days after you've had like all the interconnected universes. But I do think it's good to sometimes have these standalone movies, and I think there's still a medium for those. So
yeah, it's like an Elseworlds. Cool. It's a different verse. It's a different Spider-Verse. So you get to see like cooler characters, like, and that's in every Spider series. You know, you see different villains and heroes in different ways. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be like the Vulture or Lizard that we've seen in the movies. It can be completely different.
Yeah. Well, cool stuff for all you Spider fans out there. So moving on, we have some DC news. You want to take this one, Justin?
So over at CBR.com, we have DC's Injustice crossover will result for at least one dead Superman. So, of course, you know, we've talked about this upcoming, you know, not rebirth, but like Dawn of DC. Over this month, DC has revealed for the Adventures of Superman John Kent in his upcoming 6-issue miniseries, which launches next month in March, from the writer Tom Taylor and artist Clayton Henry. We will actually get to see a crossover between John Kent Superman and the Injustice Superman, also known as Ultraman. But what's awesome about the Injustice universe is, are we really going to get Ultraman from like the Crisis on Infinite Earth side, or are we going to get like Ultraman from like the actual video game? Like, that's what I want to know.
Right.
So I think this is going to be a really interesting setup. And again, we've talked about all the stuff that's coming out for the Dawn of DC, obviously with what everything is happening with John Kent and the Supermans. And obviously we just hit ourselves a milestone with Action Comics 1050. We have a lot to look forward to. So what are your thoughts on this upcoming Superman?
So, you know, I'm reading this article, and I didn't know that Ultraman was John Kent's arch nemesis. And I also didn't know, you know, moderate spoiler alert, like, you know, Dawn of DC kind of kicked off with Action Comics 1050. And I didn't read that issue, but it says here in this article as well that we already have a dead Superman. It looks like Val Zod died at the end of the Action Comics issue 1050. So Taylor goes on to say that fans should be aware or be afraid that some of their favorite versions of the Man of Steel could meet their untimely demise in Adventures of Superman John Kent. So interesting stuff. I don't know. Were you reading much John Kent that you knew?
No, I mean, I haven't really read any of the Superman stuff. Superman is just not one of the titles. Superman, Supergirl. You know, I just really wasn't into that stuff. You know, once they pushed John Kent forward in time and made him more older, I just really wasn't all about that. But you know, I think it's cool that they're going to bring in the Injustice version of Superman, because I think that was a great series. Like, obviously, not only both games, but even when they did like the seasons, they would do like, you know, like year 1, year 2, then they had like Battlegrounds or Ground Zeroes. Like, there was so much, and there's so many characters that had different versions of themselves, which was awesome to see. Like who kind of was like, who stayed good with Superman and kind of who rebelled with Batman. Like, that was really awesome in the Injustice universe.
And Tom Taylor actually kind of talks about that John Kent's best friend, Damian Wayne, in that universe isn't possibly on the side of the Angels. So it could be an interesting meetup between the two of them as well. So, I mean, I'm intrigued, man. It kind of makes me want to actually check that out. So it's interesting. And it's 6 issues, so not a heavy lift there, you know?
Yeah, simple. Buy it, get out of it.
So that's what we got for the news today. We're going to go ahead and move into our newer topic for the year, what we're currently pre-ordering. And if you're not familiar with that, Justin and I kind of been doing something new every week where we are talking about an upcoming pre-order book that we want you to keep an eye out for this month moving into the future months. So, Justin, you want to start off with what you are currently pre-ordering?
Yeah, so definitely a lot. There's actually a lot of good stuff this month for pre-orders. If you're not already checking out your monthly previews book, but this one is pretty awesome. This is perfect. People, you don't have to get into a long series, mini series, whatever. This is actually only a one shot, and this is over from Scout Comics. It releases on April the 12th. It's called Grim Space P1 Nokia. So basically Pinocchio. Description is after malfunctioning repeated aboard his old shift, P1 Nokia was most grateful for being repaired and upgraded by his tinkerer named Petetto, obviously Geppetto. He was very grateful that P1 Nokia dreamed of one day becoming a real boy to give Petto. It's kind of weird also. Or pedo, I don't know. Oh god,
I am turned off by
this now that I think about this. Anyway, a real boy to give Petto the son he always wanted. Unfortunately, the wide-eyed robot would soon learn that wishes made upon a star don't come true so easily. So, I am a big fan of like all the Disney stuff. So, with everything that they always do, one shots, little minis here and there that they take the characters, obviously like Brave. They had not Brave. What was the most recent one that I can't think of off the top of my head that we Sleeping Beauty.
Oh yeah. Oh god, I'm reading it. It's not very good.
It kind of went up and then down.
Briar.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Brave, but yeah, Briar. So like they always change these things up. So I think it's perfect. It's a one shot. Check it out. It's done by Frank Martin, Scout Comics. Comes out on April the 12th. I'm at least going to pick it up because that means all I got to do is read it. And if I want to sell it, if not, it's a cool thing just to have in the PC. So. What do you got? What are we currently pre-ordering, sir?
First off, let me tell you real quick. So I'm not a Pinocchio fan. And I feel like one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Agreed.
Is not Pinocchio, is AI. Was it AI? No, God damn it.
Yeah, with the kid from Sixth Sense?
Yes. AI.
Yeah,
it was like a futuristic Pinocchio movie. Yep. And I despised that movie. I literally was so angry at the end of that movie because like it could have been like I could have got through that movie. It was long as hell. First off, it was like 2.5 hours to almost 3 hour long movie. And I remember like the first hour 45 of it was basically futuristic Pinocchio, right? And if it would have ended at that point, I'd have been like, okay, whatever, like decent story. Don't like the movie, but fine. But so it like ends. And then it goes into some bullshit where it's like 40,000 years in the future. Like some aliens come and like resurrect creepy robot Pinocchio boy and give him one last night with this creepy realistic mother. Like, dude, that movie made me so angry. Still to this day irritates me. But so
it definitely doesn't have like a cult following. I don't care. Like that is.
I won't be checking out P1 Nokia by any means, especially not if there's some pedo making a robot boy.
I was looking at the covers. I was looking at the covers and just like, I'm like, I saw it and I read probably like the first 2 sentences before I like chose that one. And now that I finished it up, I feel so bad of like what I chose, but I still want to get it because I still want to read a cool, like Disney-ish.
Okay. Well, this was years from now. People will look back and will be like, this was the first sign of Justin.
I don't want anybody to clip this now. And like, because I
oh man.
They're going to totally take it out of context.
Right. No, it's funny because as you're reading it, you're like, ugh, this doesn't sound good. Okay. So currently pre-ordering. I actually talked about this kind of dovetails about something I talked about a little bit earlier. I'm going to go a little off just the like single issues, and I'm actually going to talk about Go-Go Power Rangers Deluxe Edition hardcover book 2. So if you don't know, I'm a big Power Rangers comic book fan, which is kind of weird because I was never a massive Power Rangers television show person, but the comic book run is fantastic over at Boom Studios. Ryan Parrott just crushes it. It's so good. You had the original run, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and then they had a subsequent run called Go-Go Power Rangers, which kind of was a prequel. When Mighty Morphin starts off, you already have the Green Rangers out there, bad and whatnot, but this kind of gives you the lead up into it. So this is volume 2. These are deluxe editions. These books they make too are awesome quality, really good quality. But this collects the second part and the final part of Go-Go Power Rangers. It's issue 17 through 32, and Go-Go Power Rangers Forever Rangers. So, I mean, this is probably a weird place to start off if you haven't read any Power Rangers stuff because, book 2 of, issue 17. But I really, if you haven't read it, if you've heard me talk about it, I highly suggest you guys check this stuff out. The Power Ranger stuff is just so good. Story is written so well. It's not the campy childhood stuff or the show that you remember from your childhood. It's definitely way different. So, Go-Go Power Rangers Deluxe Edition hardcover book 2, and that drops ship date 6/7/2023. So June 7th this year. So get the pre-order in.
Nice.
So yeah. So those are our pre-orders. And now, as we always do, finish off the show with what we are currently reading. So I'll go first this time. This week, well, we didn't really do one last week, did we? Because we talked into Comic Dooms.
No.
We didn't get into what we're currently reading. I can't remember if there's anything last week that really stood out. But this week, the books I really enjoyed, I kind of had a theme. It's X-Men related, but it was really cool.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't it be?
I know, dude. Hey, man, if they keep writing gold, I'm going to keep talking about it. So, my theme this week was Bishop. So 2 titles came out this week. X-Men Legends number 6, which is kind of like a spin-off X-Men series that is actually really cool. It kind of fills in some gaps of in between stories. Like the first little arc dealt with like in between some Wolverine stories. It was written by Larry Hama, so it goes back to those writers as well. The second part was Long Shot, and it dealt in between like some of the Mojo stuff. But the past 2 issues were written by and I hope I don't butcher his name. Wilcie Portacio, right? Is it Wilcie?
Yep.
Is that
Mm-hmm.
how you pronounce it?
Yep.
Yeah. Portacio, who created Bishop as well. And these take place before Uncanny X-Men issue 282, the first appearance of Bishop. And he's kind of telling the story to the Uncanny X-Men about what happened to him before and his friends Malcolm and Randall from the XSE and how they perished at the hands of Fitzroy. And you kind of get a window into Bishop's his primary timeline. Like his it's really cool. I really enjoyed it. It was 2 issues. This was the final issue. It's also the final issue of the run X-Men Legends, but really cool stuff. And then they had a new title come out called Bishop's War College. So if you're following Krakoa and the X-Men, Bishop is one of the war captains. There's 4 war captains, and he's kind of the head of the war captains of Krakoa, meaning he's in charge of anything war related for the X-Men. So he recently is trying to put together like a war college and actually kind of train some of these younger mutants. And it's a cool group of mutants. The mainstays of people that you might recognize. You have Surge from New X-Men. You have Armor from Astonishing X-Men. And then you have a couple newer characters that have bopped around for a little bit but haven't been there. But really interesting stuff. I've enjoyed it. It also had Tempo makes an appearance in there. And I just really like Bishop as a character. I love his arc. I love his storylines. I'm really excited to see where this Bishop War College goes. And check it out. If you're a Bishop fan, I think you'll really, really enjoy this series. So, like I said, Bishop themed pick of the weeks.
Nice. Interesting. Well,
what you got?
For myself, I have a little bit of everything, but my first thing is kind of a little bit of a rant for DC, and it's kind of like it kind of same thing. It's a little bit of a theme. Mm-hmm. So honorable mention goes to the new Lazarus, the DC's Universe Lazarus
I haven't
Planet.
started reading any of those yet.
So this is just a one shot. The Next Evolution #1. It's pretty good. It's called, it's basically Heroes Forged. So it's got 4 different storylines in it. One involves Flatline. Of course, we've talked about Flatline before. She's the chick was in the Robin series on the island with Robin.
She's really cool, dude. I really like her a lot. Like
Mhm.
she has this really good storyline in this one shot issue that, you know, basically deals with her. And there's some, obviously, I mean, there's no way to like not spoil this, but like for real, like it's all DC. It's about the Lazarus, you know, like, you know, that Ra's al Ghul is coming back. If you didn't know, he
Right.
died. So basically that's basically what happens. Like she's kind of like in a way looking for him, but not. You actually get to see Ubu. Remember Ubu, like his like right hand guy, like Ra's al Ghul's like right hand man.
No.
Oh, like if you've ever read, like he's always like the one guy who's like always with him. And if you've
Okay.
ever watched like the Batman animated series, like he was like the guy that was like always there. Like if like Batman ever tried to like get out of line with
Mhm.
Ra's, it was always like he would always like stop him. But so you have that storyline, which was really interesting. You have the Red Canary, which is a character that was introduced in Dark Crisis.
Mhm.
You also then have, and this is the one thing that really bothers me, is they have this really good storyline. It starts off great with Red Hood, and basically he's trying to track down anything that's going on with like the Lazarus pools and anything like that. And there's this new team that's introduced called the Vigil. There's like 3 characters. You don't know the names of them yet, but this is like their first appearance. So if anything happens out of this, it happens. But the problem I have with DC right now writing and drawing Red Hood is that nobody is consistent. Like
Yeah.
Red Hood in this series is your classic Red Hood, like basically just, you know, the cool, like
The
all
helmet
red
with no
mask.
face, yeah.
Yeah, like the you know, basically what we've seen Red Hood over the past like 15, almost 20 years now when he came back and under the Red Hood. And then you have that series, The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, and you
Mhm.
have him like in that weird like hockey mask with the crowbar.
Yeah, the lower mask where it's just the mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the same thing goes for that other series that came out last week, which is called Batman Legends of Gotham, which is also part of like the Lazarus, what's going on. It basically had Red Hood tracking down basically same thing. Lazarus stuff. He's basically got this Black Ops team. It's him, Black Lightning, and Katana, which is really awesome.
Mhm.
And he's basically like chasing after Bane, and there's some really good moments with him and Killer Croc, because if you've read Red Hood and the Outlaws from like years ago, they have like a history.
Right.
They have a
They're
past.
friends, yeah.
Yes. But it's just so annoying because it's like is this in continuity, or do these artists just not know how to pick like how they're going to draw Red Hood? Like which version costume are you going to write?
Right.
It's annoying. So that's my little rant on DC, but that was one of my honorable mentions, the Lazarus Planet Next Evolution. Another book this week, Darth Vader. I haven't really talked too much about Star Wars, but Darth Vader this week has been extremely solid. It's really getting back to that volume 2 run. I love when these books always start. I love when the Darth Vader series typically show you the what happened in the movies. Like they literally
Right,
recreate
right.
the scenes. So
Yeah, yeah.
did you read this week's issue?
Yeah. So you're
So,
talking
like-
about the interaction between him and Padme.
Yeah, like when they're on Mustafar and he's basically telling her to join him, or he's trying to tell her to join him, and it's back and forth, and it's just like, I love that, right? Great issue, of course. This has been going on for quite a while with the
Right.
handmaidens of
Handmaids, yeah. It's kind of
the
almost too
Handmaidens of
long,
Naboo.
to be honest.
Yes. But I do like how, Vader is Vader. Like he
Yeah.
basically sends them off to the wolves, like literally throws them out of the ship and has them
Right.
fight all the battle droids, which is really awesome. Just to get Sabe, and with the whole, what's his name, Bullion Tambor's son. Tambor
Yeah.
was like one of the guys from the Separatists who was in the Clone Wars, and this is his son. So interesting issue, seeing where it's going to go, but I definitely think it's honorable mention to put up there. But man, pick of the week, and super underrated, I think, and super unexpected for me to even put this as my pick of the week. But Red Goblin,
Really? Okay.
yeah, I was
I
not.
was gonna pick it up possibly, but I didn't.
So, like, obviously, I read, what was it? I read Red Goblin, like when they did that in like Amazing Spider-Man, when it was,
Right.
the Carnage thing, and was pretty crazy. But now you have this character, you have Norman Osborn, Normie.
Norman.
You have him, and he had the symbiote, and then it kind of was like taken away, and Dylan, Eddie Brock's son, kind of gave him a symbiote. So now he has this symbiote. It's called Rascal, and it's really cool because it doesn't really look like it looks like a symbiote when he has it on, but the way he describes it is it's like a puppy. Like it doesn't know any better, right? It doesn't know if it's good or bad. So sometimes like when he's getting beat up, because he ends up going to like try to fight these guys and he's getting his ass kicked, the symbiote kind of takes over and then becomes, and it looks like the Red Goblin, you know, and it like almost tries to like kill things. So it's like, it's almost like watching Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle, you know, like when the Scarab takes over sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
It's very similar to that. So, but the way like he talks, you know, because he's like a kid and all the stuff that's happened with his mom and obviously, you know, him with his father and his grandfather, because there's a lot of interaction between him and Norman Osborn. But it's very interesting to see this issue play out because then a older goblin comes back. I'm not going to spoil it, but basically Norman Osborn is having this meeting and some goblin comes back to basically, you know, take the throne away. Like, because they're basically saying that Norman Osborn has not been cleared of all his, you know, past sins. Because obviously, if you've been reading the Marvel Universe, there's the Gold Goblin and he's trying to be a good guy. And he just kind of gave all his stuff away to Spider-Man in the latest issue. If you've read that as well. But there's this one goblin who thinks that he's still bad. There's still some stuff in him. So, but I was really unexpected. Red Goblin #1. I didn't think that I'd even be picking this up, but I kind of flipped through the first few pages and I was like, oh shit. I was like,
I might have to check that out then.
Yeah. And he's got a cool symbiote looking costume. So, you know, between him being him with Rascal and, you know, Dylan being the new Venom officially because Eddie's kind of gone and off the radar. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I guess we got, you know, we always talk about this, how characters are, you know, they always have this. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and Normie's like really good friends with Dylan. Yeah. So it's like, and we saw that in Dark Web. That's kind of when they brought back Normie before Red Goblin as Red Goblin. He assisted Dylan in fighting a version of Eddie Brock in that one as well. So it was kind of cool. I mean, he's a young kid with the symbiotes. It's interesting. And it has a very much, like Super Sons vibe to me when Normie and Dylan were interacting with each other. And I kind of like that. I think that'd be cool to explore a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see them in the Summer of Symbiotes coming out this.
Oh God, can't wait.
Because I know you're super excited for the symbiote.
I mean, dude, it has to be better than Dark Web. It has to. Like Dark Web.
God, yeah. So, you know, and we never know, right? Like we talked about that for all the events that were coming out. Like we knew Dark Web was coming, the Sins of Sinister, and I really was I had high hopes for Dark Web, like I really did. And I mean, the only thing that was cool that came out of it was that the whole like Madeline Pryor, like now they have the
like an embassy.
Yeah, the embassy for like Limbo in a way. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. But of course, it's like it's never really a big payoff. I think it's cool how they have Chasm like trapped in Limbo in his own mind in a way. Right. That was interesting. But it's never like there's never anything that's really amazing that happens that I feel like could stick.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Well, cool. Those are the picks of the week. That is the show this week. That's the episode. That's episode 6, season 3 in the books. That's all we got this week. Justin, anything upcoming for you?
Yeah, of course. Make sure you are following, another local show here, the King Kong Show, March 25th, March 26th. I will be attending. That's over at the APA Hotel in Island, New Jersey. Our boy Greg, MTG Comics, puts that on. You know, it's sponsored by CBSI and Pressable Defects. So again, March 25th, March 26th, King Kong. Follow it on Instagram. You can go ahead and buy tickets for either a 1-day, 2-day, but you'll see me there. I'll be setting up, selling some comics. So
nice.
That's all I got.
Sounds good. Well, that's all we got this week, everyone. We will catch you next week. Next week might be a little different for us. So Justin and I both getting early are going to see Ant-Man next week.
Not together,
unfortunately. And we'll have to record at some point, so we got to work that out. But yeah, so next week you will
our first review of 2023.
You'll get a review.
Yeah, our first movie review of 2023.
So yeah. Anyway, everyone have a safe weekend. Have fun out there, and we will catch you next week.
Will you be my Valentine? Peace, everybody.
P1 no Kyo, your Valentine.
Oh, my P1 no Kyo. Later.